Hello everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. I'm Steve and today I'm going to do an overview on this 3D laser scanner from David. This is the SLS-1. So this laser scanner from David actually uses a projector to project a series of patterns onto three-dimensional objects. It then uses the camera that's provided to turn those pictures into three-dimensional objects that you can use with different programs. Now, the software itself is actually compatible with laser scanners, although they did provide you with this projector. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and show you one thing on the side of the box before we open it up. It is, of course, a portable 3D scanner, and it's going to be able to scan objects ranging from 1 to 50 centimeters. It's going to create 3D data for reverse engineering, quality inspection, development, art and science, medical use, and more. The package is going to include the projector, as I mentioned, the camera, and David's software itself, which really is the most important part of this particular setup. They will generate one scan in a few seconds, so it's pretty quick. The accuracy is up to 0.1% of the object's size. That's going to result in a 3D mesh that can be exported in a variety of 3D formats, including OBJ, STL, and PLY. And as you can see, there's a ton of stuff that comes inside the box. Let me start first with the software. It is on a very small USB drive. This is not actually going to be installed. It's going to run completely off the USB drive, but this is kind of the core of the whole system. You need this software to do what we're going to do with it, so definitely do not lose this. Now, moving on to the next of the three components, I have a very small monochromatic camera here. It actually has a focus ring here. You can adjust the focus. Also, you have a very small adjustment that you can make to the f-stop. F-stop is a maximum of 1.4. The viewing angle here looks to be about 12 millimeters or ½ an inch. But otherwise, it's just a very, very small camera. It even has a little David label on it. You would use this USB to mini USB cable to plug that into your computer and thus allow the software to use it. We do have a projector that we'll be using. That does come inside the package. It's just a standard projector from Acer. Here's a quick look at the I/O in the back. There's also a special bracket at the bottom. Now, both of these two objects, both the projector as well as the camera, will mount onto this mounting bracket. You can have different options for how wide you can set the two apart from one another, and that's all based on the distance you would be from the object you're trying to scan. But let me show you a couple more things that come in the box. The projector, of course, has a very small plush little carrying case that it comes with, so it allows you to bring it with you. Of course it is, because it's portable. You do get a D-sub cable here, a little VGA cable, in order to allow you to connect in this to your computer, this projector. We do have several other accessories here. We have some cables here for audio, 3.5 millimeter. Then we have some with audio and video, 3.5 millimeter to RCA. And then we have a remote control that's for that projector, as well as what I think is just maybe some mounting hardware or cable management. We do have something special here other than the AC brick that comes with it. Of course, this is the AC adapter to allow that projector to get power and work. We do have this very special plug here that plugs into the AC adapter, and we have many, many options because this is a global company. I'll show you here several different types of plugs depending on which country you're in, as well as a little carrying bag for those different plugs. But behind that, they also include a Hanel, I'm probably pronouncing that entirely wrong, Hanel Triad Professional Aluminum Alloy Tripod. It does also come with a small carrying bag, but this is the actual tripod itself. It's very nice. Has an area here where you can actually hang a weight and give yourself a little bit more stability, as well as being able to extend the legs. I'm just going to bring up the head here and show you there's a couple different points of adjustability that you can make with this. And all of this, spin this around, has a very small adapter that actually connects in for this mounting bracket, and of course that would attach in. Now, all of this is just so you can get the camera and the projector in position to be able to scan against one of these calibration panels. So the calibration panels, these are intended to allow the system to calibrate, obviously, based on the size object you're trying to scan. This bigger one here is 240 millimeter, and what you do is you'd attach two of these 90-degree angle braces at the top and the bottom to keep it locked in at 90 degrees. That's very important for the scanner to actually work properly. I'm going to lift this up and show you the other calibration panel that we have here. At the top, 30 millimeters, 60 millimeters, and 120 at the bottom. And all you do basically is just flip this upside down depending on which size object you're going to use, or you could get just a very small object to place it on top of to keep it level right at the 60 millimeter area. All right, everybody, so right now we have the software currently running on this laptop. We have our camera as well as the projector trained on this particular pattern that is being projected onto the calibration panel. Now, all this is important because this is how the system will actually work. Before I go much further, though, I want to describe to you the object I'm currently holding, which is just a small lotion bottle. And it's got small little dots on it, as well as it being a matte gray, non-reflective finish on it. That's actually because we painted it. And we put these dots on there to help us coordinate how the pictures will overlap one another. More on that in just a moment. But more importantly, you do want to paint the surface, because if you were to not do that, this particular bottle would be reflective and it would affect the scanning process. So you could purchase paint instead of just using this. In fact, you can purchase washable paint from David or our website. The model number for that special paint is SDK-S2. So if you don't want to have your object that you're scanning being permanently damaged or permanently painted, you could buy that special paint, and that would allow you to paint whatever object you wanted to scan and move forward with your scanning process. So let's take a look more at this panel. So now we're looking at the calibration panel, and it's currently displaying this set of patterns across it. And what it's trying to do is just triangulate where this particular, or more or less get a solid picture of what each side of this three-dimensional object would look like. So at the first step would be calibration, which we've already done. It would run through it with nothing in front of the screen. The second step is putting the object in front of that. I'm actually going to remove the calibration panel now and show you what the camera would see, which is this object with the pattern displayed across it. So we would run it through one iteration at a time, taking one picture at a time as I turn this object. So I do one picture, run it through the program, which I'll show you in a moment, then turn it, run it through the program, and again, until I get a full 360. Then you could do the top as well as the bottom. And then you use the software to fuse this entire object together into one three-dimensional object. So here's a closer look at the software itself. This is version 3.9.0. So let's take a look at the hardware we currently have set up. Right now we have it set up for the structured light setup, which basically means we're using the projector. You have two other options too, a motorized laser setup for a laser scanner, as well as a handheld laser setup. Then we also have the camera, and that is currently set up to the David camera. You could set it up to other cameras, although I recommend keeping it with the David cam. Then that's the default setting right now, resolution and FPS. You have a couple other options, but also recommend sticking to the default on that as well. Let's jump down to calibration for a moment. And we're not going to use the old pattern. We're sticking with the V3 pattern, which is what you currently see up here right now. And what we're going to do is, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the calibrator scale, the calibration scale, the millimeters of each one of the signs. Currently it's set up to 240 millimeter, but we also have the other board that has the other three sizes, which is 30, 60, and 120. Let's go ahead and calibrate that now. And as you can see on the screen here, or on the panel itself, it's going through a series of patterns and a series of colors, just trying to make sure that it knows exactly where those 6 black rings are. Oh, and as you can see here, it's successfully calibrated. Okay, so as you can see now, I've now placed the object in the area of scanning. Now it needs to stay within these points. If it's outside of that, the grid here, it's not going to be able to pick it up. It's getting a little bit of the bottom here, but we're going to remove that later. Let me just take away that. Now you can see it's just viewing the object itself. So let's go back to the laptop here. And now what we're going to do is actually scan it. Here I'm in the structured light area, so let's go ahead and click that start button. And it's going through the pattern once again, but this time just on the object. And it should pop up with the new scan here. There it is. So you can see it's just one side of the object, even including the top of the can there, which we can remove in just a little bit. In fact, you know what? Let's just do it right now. Go ahead and click here, 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 and I'm just trying to make sort of a marquee selection almost. Now we're going to go ahead and delete it. And here is that object with that piece removed. There's a couple areas here that are blackened out, but that's due to the shadow and the height of our projector. We could raise it up a little bit more, but just for the sake of this, we're just going to move forward. Okay, so what we've done now is scan another side, and what I want to show you is what the Align tool is going to do for you. So you can see we have two red dots there. I'm going to click the Align tool, click the first object's center point onto the other object's center point, and these are the exact same side. That's why sometimes it helps if you were to number the sides, especially if they look identical, to help you recognize each side being the same and align them to one another. Now you're going to see a little bit of artifacting in here because this is just high level. We didn't take our time, we're just throwing it together. But if you were to take your time with this and do it all properly, it would come in a lot cleaner. Here's the other scans that we took in too, just to give you a basic idea of what it would look like. I didn't scan the top or the bottom, which is why you see holes, although you could use the fuse button and it would fill everything else in for you. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we finished fusing it all together. There's still a little bit of bumps and texturing in there, and if you notice the top and the bottom still aren't quite right, that's because we didn't scan them. Of course we would, and we would have taken more time on this, then it would look a lot better. So that's how the scanning process works with this particular software from David. And I just wanted to show you guys a screenshot of one of the other models we did before. And this is what it would look like if you were to do all of them together. And basically, the software is merging it all together into one solid object because we actually have one we printed. So finally, we've come from this version of this bottle down to these two printed versions of the bottle. Now this one in particular we actually made a little bit larger, and we've colored it red a little bit so you could actually see the texture of the bottle itself. Also, that it was actually able to pick up the ring of the lid of the bottle here. So that's still been preserved. We would have been able to preserve these letters too if we were to take our time with it and do a much more perfectionist job. But since this is such a high-level version of what David's scanner can do, we just basically had to overlap everything really quickly, and we lost some of the detail in that overlap. Aside from that, you're going from scanning it straight to object digitally and then to printing them. All right guys, that just about wraps up this overview of David's 3D laser scanner, model number SLS-1. Now if you liked what you saw today, don't forget to click the like button. If you haven't already done so, click subscribe to any of our various YouTube channels, and we'll see you guys soon.